and welcome to today's video. Today I will be showing you my experience of going to Warner Bros. Studio Tour London, as well as cutting in to say some things that I found interesting. Going to the tour, I just played Harry Potter Trivial Pursuit, as well as reading the Pottermore Presents books to keep my mind occupied. I could clearly see that they have a temporary entrance, which I thought I saw in the way there, but I wanted to double check. And it looks amazing for a temporary entrance. It's really spectacular. I love the walls there, also very well designed. But it's interesting that they're building something new in front of the tour, and I'm just gonna have a wild guess at what they're building, and I'll be very happy if this comes true. Let's say they're building a Honeydukes, because that would be very interesting to see, like a proper Honeydukes in front of the tour. Because the sweets are probably the best selling things at Warner Brothers, I'm assuming, or maybe the scarves or wands, but other than that it's probably the sweets. Somebody stood up on the part where it's the cupboard under the stairs and talked about some cast trivia.
Who do you think was the oldest member of the cast in Harry Potter?
Dumbledore. Richard Harris.
Yeah. I'll give you a clue. In the fourth film, The Goblet of Fire, on the train.
I'm just waiting for you to say. The name is Which? The train.
Honeydukes, food, trolley lady on the train.
Hey!
Miss Marjorie Mason. She was 92 when we made the film. Whichever one of them three was awake, his money's handed over. About 3 or 4 years ago, they came back here to visit the tour. She made some costume and some jewellery for herself, and when she finished the audition, she turned to David Heyman, the great producer, and the casting people, and she said, well, there you are. You can see I am Luna, but if you don't pick me, it's going to be your loss. And out she went. And
then, the most amazing thing happened. I got to open the Great Hall. Because it was my birthday, because it wasn't. But what happened was we were in a pretty big group, so we took up most of the spaces anyway. And then the rest of the people seemed to be foreign, so even if it was somebody's birthday, maybe they didn't understand. And after a few seconds, after the person at the front asked, is it anyone's birthday, and nobody said, yeah, it's mine, my group just pushed me out because they knew how big of a fan I was. I was the biggest fan in the group, and I was shaking and crying for a few minutes after that. because of the Gryffindor bedroom being built for Philosopher's Stone, the beds were made for the cast when they were 10 or 11 years old. So by the time they came to filming later scenes, they had to curl up because they didn't want to obviously rebuild the whole set just to make the beds bigger. You can see a portrait of a young McGonagall in the Gryffindor common room. The entrance to Dumbledore's office is literally a Gryffindor. And you might have noticed that in the movies, but I thought it's interesting to bring up when you see it in the tour. Fire, which, if you didn't know, is probably already has been moved into the Great Hall today for the first time since filming, and it'll be there until September 23rd. And I'm a bit sad that I just missed it. Tomorrow is also the 6th anniversary of the studios, so I went at not the greatest time to go, but I'm not complaining. I loved every second of it. As just a quick review, is a lot smaller but a lot more interactive than I expected. It's got maybe 4 things you can interact with, but it's just a very short path through a Forbidden Forest. Death Eater between Gringotts and this shop is called Derek by the people who work at Warner Brothers, and you can barely see him, but Derek's there. This is the architect of Hogwarts who was designed for Chamber of Secrets, I believe, and he's looking pretty proud of himself for designing Hogwarts. Of the tour, I had forgotten about Hogwarts being there at the end. I knew obviously before, because I had already seen it, and also it's the big thing of the tour, but I had forgotten for most of the tour because I was very excited. So when I was in the model place and I realised Hogwarts is coming, I tried to calm myself down, but it didn't really work. I still had to sit on the bench and cry out a little bit, but then I got around it, and it was so amazing and it's so beautiful. So here are a lot of shots of it because it is really beautiful. Is that even behind the tills, it's still very pretty. Like, this window is adding to the atmosphere. As we were walking out, I realised that there's also a massive Crimes of Grindelwald picture, the first look photo, on the back of the Journey to Hogwarts, and that is very cool because it also has the logo in it as well. But also they were playing the trailer next to it and had some props from the first Fantastic Beasts film. But in the trailer there's also a shot of Queenie in New York, which isn't in the trailer that was released on YouTube and Twitter and stuff. So that could be quite interesting. I didn't look into it too much because I was blocking the way, but I found that just a bit exciting that there was another shot which isn't in the classic trailer. Just as a cherry on top, while leaving the studios, I saw the New York tea set in behind these fences and stuff, but it's interesting to see that they've kept it. I mean, they're probably using it little bits within the movie or movies, but I think they're just going to keep it so that you can actually explore it for later. Maybe in 6 years' time we'll be able to actually go and visit it as part of the tour. So that's very interesting and exciting. I just watched the Crimes of Grindelwald trailer over and over again, as well as eating some food, including sherbet lemons, and it was just a really nice time, and I really enjoyed the trip. Here is a montage of me stamping every stamp in the passport. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. I really do hope that you enjoyed it. I will see you in the next one, pal. Bye! Is one of the probably most well-selling things at Warner Brothers.